Hey there, Start here. Hope you guys had a good weekend. So probably the biggest news of this week is not Dark Visions. It's not any of the new content. It's the fact that Clash of Wills was nerfed. The boss has been massively nerfed. It's probably a good thing for most players. I think they might have gone a little bit overboard on it, but I'm honestly glad they did it because I think it provides, like I mentioned in my last clear video, it really doesn't do me any favors to do like a really difficult boss on the inauguration of their new game mode, right? So I think it just makes it more accessible to a lot more players. I have done sort of an improvement on my ice team. I am still sort of tweaking it. I do plan to get a new and improved ice team clear out to you guys later today. But first I want to do my my Dark Visions clear, because this one's it's super simple. This boss is like brain dead easy. I'll show you how I got the score that I got. You can see it's got me ranking of 210 as of now. That means I will probably not be in the top 500, but as long as I stay in the top 1000, it's honestly all I care about. It is a fire team. It's going to look very similar to my previous fire team clear. We are bringing Sylvie for the Stone Killer, as well as some buffs, mitigations, all that jazz. So that way we don't have to worry about gearing the party for like elemental resists or evasion or any of that jazz. Sylvie basically just handles all the damage taken and brings the buffs and the killers, which is really nice. All right, so we've got Hio as the leader because we're bringing Frosty as our breaker. If you have Locke, you can technically use Locke's leader skill and bring Galuf, but yeah, I don't want to do that. So we're bringing Hio so that Frosty can come to the party, because in my opinion, just based on my testing, Frosty, for me at least, is stronger than my Galuf, probably because I don't want to waste resources on getting Galuf to level 130. I don't know. Anyways, you guys can play around with that. If you don't have Locke, however, Flaring Ether Rain works in this slot just as well. Just keep in mind it's going to be less damage. So, probably about 3 billion less. This team averages around 34. I did some testing with Flaring Ether Rain. That average drops down to about 31. So you're losing about 3 billion damage doing Flaring Ether Rain, but if that's all you got, that's all you got, right? You could also put Ayabria in Locke's slot. She would work just fine, and she would probably do fairly well. She's not as strong as Locke, but she's definitely a better option than Flaring Ether Rain if you have her. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the gear. This will be quick and simple. So Sylvie, it honestly doesn't really matter what she has in her normal form. In her Brave Shift form, I just gave her really high spirit because she is going to do some chaining on the last turn. She'll contribute like, I don't know, 100 million damage. It's something, right? It's something. But I didn't really have a whole lot of, I didn't take the time to like gear her for killers or anything like that. So I'm honestly not too worried about it. Like, she's only got what is this, a stone 175? Yeah. So clearly I'm not too worried about her dealing damage. You could theoretically build her a little bit better if you wanted her to contribute a little bit more damage, if you're a try hard min-maxer, but that's not me. Hio in his normal form doesn't really matter. I did give him Knight's Metal so he has some elemental resist, because Sylvie does 80% to all elements except lightning and earth. She does 200%. So it is nice to have a little bit of elemental resist here in his normal form. He's also full evade. Doesn't have to be though, honestly. So don't stress about it. In his Brave Shift form, just full on damage, as you can see here. And then we've got just maxing out on killers, Hateful Agent for some Esper stats. This is the best vision card I have for him. If you don't have it, just use the best one you got. He does have Overkillers on stone. That comes from Titan Esper, so Titan Esper has the Overkiller node, if you have the resources to do that. If not, don't sweat it. It's not that big of a damage loss, okay? So Genesis, so he's a bit harder to gear for Stone Killer because he doesn't have any innately, but Lefty Warrior Prayer, her TMR is fantastic for this because it works exclusively on mage units and comes with 75% Stone Killer, which is stackable, which is awesome. So pop 2 of those on him. Obviously, Prophet's diadem, his sword, his coat, and then a couple more stone killers here, and he is good to go, you know? So solid on that. Obviously, Moonlit Parade of One for the MP, so he is good on the killers. Yep, that's all we really need. Boom. He is just 10% shy on his MP. I wish I could have figured out a way to get some MP in there, but yeah, it's all right. Not sweating it. And that's even with his sword. I actually got his sword maxed out, so he's got 80% MP on his sword, and I'm still 10% shy. I can't believe it. Anyways, he still hits the damage cap. Doesn't matter. Lock with Dark Rising Sun for the just for the slightly higher variance on a throwing weapon. Obviously, his STMR in his other hand, and then some Clash gear to help buff him up. He will be the strongest unit on the party. Crystal Orb, that's from the event that came out on his banner. It does give him 500 static attack, so definitely equip that. And then, yeah, I gave him Priest Vengeance just because, you know, I needed something in that slot. Could honestly do, like, Judge's... let's do Judge's Oath, because that's honestly better. It does 20% across the board, and that's all you need. And then Kind-Hearted Flutist for the Esper stats. I have an EX3 Lightning, so I can put this card on him because he's a Rebellion unit. If you don't have it, just put the best card you have on him. So he's maxed out on stone, LB damage, he is good to go. We don't need to worry about chain speed because we're going to have Sylvie and Saz ramp the chain fully for us. So don't even have to worry about chain speed with this team. It's fantastic. All right. Frosty. So he's got a dagger in one hand to take advantage of Locke's 45% dagger imperil, and then katana in the other hand for the higher variance, and then just maxing out his LB damage, all that jazz. Yeah, and then same thing here. I'm actually going to put Judge's Oath on him. Yep, there we go. So he's got at least 20% to everything, which is fantastic. You do have to give him Equip S Sword because for some reason a warrior such as himself can't wield a dagger. I don't understand. But yeah. And then, yeah, GF extension for some Esper stats. That's just min-maxing. This is Laswell's card, so yep, it's the best card I have for him, so that's what's going on him. Now, Saz. Everybody always asks me, what do I do if I don't have Saz? You know, guys, I'm casual now. I don't go that deep into it. I would say throw another damage dealer in there, maybe. You can use Setzer. I think he has a fire field. I think maybe does Ignis have a fire field? I don't know. There was like an old collab unit that had one. I think Kid was her name, and she can deal some damage. There's, I don't know. I'm sure there are other people that can do fire fields. I mean, in a pinch, Louise can do a fire field, but she's kind of a wasted damage slot. Although I don't know, maybe not. I mean, maybe she's good enough. She can do a 90% Spirit Break, which will guarantee your Genesis to cap. So maybe Louise. I don't know. You guys figure it out. I'm casual now. I'm not going that deep into it. We don't really care about his normal form. That can be whatever. In his Brave Shift form, just full on damage, scanning goggles, sand mantle for stone killers, and then just a bunch of stone killers here in his materia. And this is the best vision card I have for him. So he is capped on stone killer and LB damage. And that's all we really care about. All right. So let's get in here. It's going to be a 5-turn clear, but it's very super simple. And it goes by very, very quick because most of the team is guarding for like the first 3 turns. All right, so Hio's first of all just gonna full break it. Sylvie is gonna do burgeoning defense, and then her elemental vines and petals for the elemental resists. All right, Locke can guard, so can Frosty, Saz, and Genesis. They can all just guard on this turn. All right, so we take a little bit of damage there. It's really not consequential at all. All right, Sylvie is now going to do Paladin's Defense because the boss is going to do a bunch of AoE physicals on this turn, so we're just going to Mirage those. All right, Hio does Crimson Ultima, and then everybody else just guards again. All right, so now the boss has put up his field. This is why we have to do a 5-turn clear, because now Saz has to put up his field, and then he has to do his mod boost on turn 4 before we can do our big burst on turn 5. All right, now Saz is going to do Infire on Sylvie. We don't want to do Infire Raga because that would imbue Frosty. We don't want to imbue Frosty. He's going strictly with Ice. All right, so Infire only is a single target, so he does that to Sylvie. He'll do Elemental Power Fire on himself. If you don't have Elemental Power Fire, then just have him do Infire on himself, okay? Also, if your lock is only EX1, then maybe consider doing Elemental Power Fire on your lock instead of Saz, all right? And then put me behind the wheel for the field and the buffs. All right, Genesis is gonna do his SLB. If your Genesis is only EX2, then just use his regular LB. It's fine. Because his regular LB does a 35% Sword in Peril. SLB does a 40%. You know, it's min-maxing, really. So here we go. We're going to do... he's going to imbue himself with Ice. He's going to do Solitary Sword Dance. And then we'll just do... we'll just go ahead and do Icy Grasp. Okay, Locke can honestly just guard again this turn. Hio is going to do imbue himself. Refine Stance for the Fist Imperil and Daunting Aura for the Imperil Field. Sylvie's going to shift to her Brave Shift and go ahead and do her LB so that it's ready for us on turn 5. Okay, then you see we're resisting everything. We don't really care about the MP drain. All right, so now it's time to prep for the burst. So we'll do Fire, Elemental Burst Fire, and then Rachel's last words. All right, Frosty will do all he has to do here is just Icy Accretion, actually. Yeah, he just has to do his 150 amp. Saz will shift. He'll do Eidolon, start your engines. Genesis does his setup. Alright, amp, fill LB, preface. Hio, all he has to do is Ultimate Flame for his 150 amp. Sylvie is going to do Crackstone on Locke, because Locke is my strongest damage dealer on this team, so he gets 250 amp. Genesis doesn't need it. He usually hits the cap without it. So I don't bother putting it on Genesis, all right? And Hio is technically a little bit weaker on this team than Locke, so Locke gets the 250. I have to make sure I remember to actually do the Stone Killer, because I've been going back and forth between the cow bosses, the cow boss in this one, and the cow boss is Insect, and this one's Stone. I definitely had a couple of runs where I accidentally put the Insect Killer on Locke instead of the Stone Killer, but yeah. That's what happens when you kind of go back and forth between the two. All right, so now Sylvie and Saz are gonna start ramping the chain for us. All right, once it's ramped, we'll then send Locke, followed by Frosty and Hio in that order, and then send Genesis to cap. Okay, so very, very simple. This, like I said, this team averages around 34. Since I'm recording, I'm sure I'm gonna like low roll and roll a 32 or something like that. My highest roll so far has been 35.6. The team should be able to hit, you know, 36, 37 if I do some variance rolling, but I'm gonna save that for next week, because I want to keep trying to tweak my cow team a little bit, because that ends this week and we still have 2 weeks on Dark Visions. All right, so I'm probably gonna try and shoot for a 36 bill at some point, but 35.6 is pretty good. So let's see what we get on this one. All right, so let's do Saz and Sylvie to ramp that chain. Of course, Genesis low rolls on me. So we're going to get a nice, oh, we're going to get a super low roll on this one, aren't we? Of course, because I'm recording. What did I tell you? What did I tell you? Oh my gosh, this team, like every other time I roll like a 34, between 34 and 35, and of course I record and everybody decides to roll low. But anyways, there it is. That's how we got it done. All right, yeah, so Genesis rolled low. Oh my gosh, Locke rolled super low. So did Frosty. So normally Frosty does closer to 5 bill. Locke has done over 10. He's actually gone over the damage cap on me before, but he's normally more like 9.5, 9.6. Hio's usually closer to 9. Obviously Genesis normally hits the damage cap. So, you know, we had some low rollers in there. But anyways, that's how we got this one done. Hopefully this works for you, and hopefully variance is kinder to you. So that's pretty much it for this one. I'm done with Dark Visions. I'm not doing any more teams, I don't think, unless I get really bored and I want to try an ice team next week, which, I don't know, who knows, depends on what content we have coming out. But yeah, I might try an ice team, we'll see. But anyways, I'm going to get back to Clash of Wills and hopefully get a new updated ice team clear for you guys out today. So thank you for following me, and I will see you on the other side.